morning. It's day 27. We are so much closer to the end of this month. I am just so excited that I have been successful up to this point of doing my daily vlogging. I think the only day that I'll be a little concerned about, is actually gonna be Monday, or the 30th, making sure that vlog gets out, because I start my trip on Monday and I'll be driving for most of the day. And so I'm like, when am I gonna find time? Maybe I'll do it before I leave. You all right, Cease? So what are we looking at today? It was supposed to rain, but I don't know if it's actually going to anymore. Our weather changes all the time. And for reading, I did stay up a little bit longer and read another chapter of, I can't remember, Jade Legacy. So I'm currently on page 578. I have that much for today to read. So a little bit less than 73 because I read a few pages last night, and that has to get done. It has to get done. So yeah. What happened in that chapter? I can't tell you what happened in that chapter, but just desserts. I thought this was a funny, interesting, about a character that we have known throughout the whole series, who I absolutely cannot stand. So that was an interesting chapter. Then we've got Wuthering Heights, and I have 2 hours to read today because I didn't read my hour yesterday. Sorry, I have a little bit of congestion, so if I sound a little then that's why. I'm currently still on page 53, so we'll see how far I can get in 2 hours by the end of today. Hopefully I manage to get through these. I'm still prioritizing Jade Legacy at this point because that one has to get done. So I will do as much as I can of this, but I will carry over anything that I don't finish. Mom and I are going to read our 20 pages of the comfort book, and I'm looking forward to just dipping into this. It was fun because I watched the live show for Tales from Two Trails yesterday, and Kim's mom, Julie, had read this past month too, and she was just talking about how it was such a pleasant read, and one of those reads that is nice when you just need that comfort, which is the whole intention of this. And they were saying that they didn't like Matt Haig's fiction. Neither of them liked his fiction, but they like his nonfiction. I haven't read anything else by Matt Haig yet. I have Midnight Library, and I've heard very mixed things about it. I think Mom liked it. I think Mom liked it a lot. It's one of those books where I've put it on so many TBRs, I just have never been able to get to it. So we'll see if this pushes me forward into reading more Matt Haig, or prioritizing some more Matt Haig and seeing if I like his fiction or not. Oh, that cover letter. I have to get. So I'm going to do 20. I did 2020s yesterday for a little while, but then I ended up getting distracted by other things and not doing 2020s all day. Today I will do 2020s, and one of my every other 20 will be my cover letter. It has to be. I will be working on my cover letter today. That is a non-negotiable. Okay, so Mom and I read our 20 pages of the comfort book to Mom this morning while we were having our coffee, and we had a great conversation. I love reading these with other people because they always trigger a good conversation. Not always, but oftentimes if you're open to it, they trigger really good conversations. And especially with people you're in relationships, various relationships with. You know, I live with my mother, and I'm an adult. I'm well into my adult years, and living with a parent, especially, a lot of people have a really hard time living with their parents, but being able to do that and have more good times than bad times, less arguing, more getting along. I think a lot of that has to do with communication, and that's true with any kind of relationship, romantic relationships, relationships with other people. Communication is really important. And Mom and I have worked really hard because we have lived together for a while now since I finished college. And at the moment, saving money wise and trying to figure out my work, my career and everything, it's not going to end anytime soon, which is fine because we get along really well. But it can be really difficult to have that communication, especially when you have very different personalities. And Mom and I are very similar in some ways, but in communication and in the way we deal with anger and frustration and stuff, we are very different. And that can be really frustrating to both of us. And so I've pushed us really hard to have hard conversations whenever we're feeling certain ways, and Mom has hated it. But then today when we were talking about some of the things in here, she's like, I really love those moments when we just sit and we have those really tough conversations and we just talk through things. And I was like, wait, I thought you hated it. And she was like, well, I mean, yeah, I kind of do, but at the same time, I really love that we do that because, you know, it's a great time to reflect and communicate, and it helps us to get along better in the long run. So long story short, I think that these moments of being able to communicate with people that you care about are important, and having a tool like this to push you into those conversations, you know, just trying to have those conversations on their own can be difficult because you don't know where to start. But if you have something like this that gives you something to talk about, gives you something to reflect on collectively, it is very useful. So I love when I read these kind of books to read them with someone else, with someone I want to have those conversations with, because I get more out of the book, but then I also get more out of my relationship with that person because we've had these important conversations that bring us closer to each other in a lot of ways. And it might not be something that's important to everybody. I recommend this, but I don't recommend this for everybody if it's something you don't want. I have always found that it means a lot to me, and so it's something I continue to try to do within my life, and I love it. I love it. Even like when Mom and I read poetry together, that elicits a lot of emotions. Anything that you can read with someone else and you can talk about because it elicits a lot of feelings or emotions or brings up things, and then you can talk through those things. I just think that's a great way to work on communicating with someone you care about. And I think that that's important if you want to get along with that person you care about. A lot of what we're reading about at the beginning so far is about finding the worth in who you are as a human being. Like that aspect of just being has a lot of worth and value, but then also holding on and giving yourself time to realize more emotions and feelings when you're in such a depressive state that you just want to give up. Because Matt Haig went through a really hard depressive period of his life where he was so ill that he couldn't talk, he could barely talk, he was suicidal. And I think these are all the things he wants people to feel who are in the same state, the same period of their life. He wants them to know these things, to feel these things when they're feeling that down. And it's hard to be open to that when you're that down. But I think because he went through it and he came out on the other side of it, he wants to share the thoughts he has about that and maybe hopefully help somebody else who might be in a similar situation. So there's a lot in this first section about just giving yourself time and then finding your own worth as a human, and you don't have to prove anything to anybody. The proof, I finished. I know it looks a little dense, but it's got all the stuff I need to have, and I have gone over it multiple times. I think that it's good. I think it's good. My cover letter is done, and I can send it to the district. Woohoo! Okay, so I've applied for everything that I can and want to apply for, but now I've got to do the addendums and fill out the how can you add academic rigor to your class? How can you do this? How can you do that? What would you bring to this position sort of thing? So I have that to work on. Just what I want to do, more writing. Not that I hate writing, I hate this kind of writing. I'd rather just explain it. I'm much better at just, let me tell you all the things I'm gonna do, as opposed to having to write it all out. But as a teacher, I'm supposed to be encouraging writing. So writing is great, kids. Make sure you're writing every day. Write a little bit every day. Okay, so this is one of those days where things didn't quite end up the way I expected them to. I did not get a chance to finish working on my vlog, and it was actually a longer vlog because apparently I was super chatty yesterday. But I was working on it, and then we had to go pick up my mom's car, and like I said, it was out of town, so we had to drive out there. And then as we were driving there, I got a text from my neighbor saying, okay, so blah, blah, blah for trivia tonight, and I had completely forgot that I'm the one that set up trivia tonight. So I had to rush around, rush down to get a car, rush back, rush home to get changed into like going out clothing, and then rush over to trivia. And of course, that's like 2 hours long. By the time I got home, it was like 9:30, almost 10. And I started working on my vlog, and I just feel like I'm trying to rush it. And now it's 11:30, and I'm just like, I'm not going to get it done. So this is the first day that I'm not getting my video out on time, and I'm going to work on it tomorrow and put it out on the 29th. So now my videos are going to be 2 days in arrears, or however many days in arrears they are. So the other thing is that I didn't get all my reading done today. I still have a little bit less than 50 pages to read of Jade Legacy. So tomorrow I have all of that to read. That's what I'll be doing all day until 5 p.m. I'm going to be reading this. This is my priority. And then I didn't do any of my 2 hours of Wuthering Heights. So I'm in trouble, friends. I'm in trouble. So I don't know how much of that'll actually get read tomorrow, but I'm still going to try and carry over those 2 hours to tomorrow. But yeah, I've got Jade Legacy. This is what I get for putting it off for too long. But if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens tomorrow on day 28. 28? 28? Yes. Yeah, 28. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.
It'll be 28.